So you might be wondering, what am I doing driving yet another Chevy SS? In the past few months, I've reviewed a Chevy SS automatic twice, and while I really enjoyed that car from a driving dynamics standpoint, the automatic transmission really lets it down. It's got that old school torque converter feel with non-rev match downshifts and very sluggish upshifts. So when Yitao, the owner of this 2016 SS, reached out, I was very excited to get behind the wheel because this one, as you can see, it has a 6-speed manual transmission. And so the question I want to answer today is, does the 6-speed manual improve the SS enough to make me prefer it over my current favorite daily drivable sports sedan, which is the Lexus IS F? Now, first impressions, this car feels like a 4-door, 5-seat Corvette. This transmission, I believe it's the same one found in the C6 generation. It has the same 1-to-4 skip shift feature that forces you to shift into the 4th gear unless you are revving the engine out more. It's a somewhat high effort shifter, but it has a really nice, substantial, meaty feel. There's no way you'll miss a shift or get confused between the gates. So we have this car in performance mode, which is the most aggressive mode. It tightens up the steering, it firms up the Magna ride suspension. Just listen to that. 6.2 liters of LS3 glory right there, controlled with my right hand. That is the way this engine is designed to be enjoyed. Oh yes, oh yes. Let's try heel toe here. Effortless. Got a little bit of play at the rear end, which is great. Braking feels adequate. Definitely getting 4,000-pound 4-door Corvette vibes right now, which is not a bad thing. I mean, the weight of this car might be off-putting to some looking for a pure driving experience, but at the same time, the weight of this car is what makes it comfortable as a daily driver. It's got sound deadening, it's got comfortable seats, although it must be said, these are designed to grip a much wider human being than I am. Oh yes. Not a ton of steering feel, but still easy to control. So in performance mode, you'll notice there, the moment it starts to detect a little slip, it brings it right back in. It doesn't let you go too crazy. Now obviously, since this is a 414 horsepower, 415 pound-foot naturally aspirated V8 with plenty of torque down low, the car can get away from you quite easily, even in 3rd gear corners here. But that's one of the big reasons why I really enjoy driving this car, is the really good balance of the comfort and the daily usability, the big back seat, combined with the rear drive dynamics, a really solid feeling manual transmission to let the driver control what the engine is doing. Now there are a few nitpicks I have with the car, and since this is my 3rd time driving one, I am noticing a few things that I didn't necessarily notice the first couple times. For example, the Magna ride suspension. While overall I am very impressed by the suspension setup, going over bumps with heavy throttle, the rear end does tend to skip a little bit. Not in terms of wheel spin, but it almost feels like the damper doesn't settle in a single compression and rebound stroke going over bumps. Not a big issue, but I can see that being a little unnerving if you're really trying to drive the car hard. Second thing has to do with visibility. These A-pillars, I never noticed this before, but they are massive. And going around tight bends, the A-pillar does block quite a bit of your field of vision. And the last nitpick I have about the car is the steering. Even in the performance mode, which gives you the firmest steering, the steering rack has a very springy feel. If you were just to let go of the steering wheel even partially while it's loaded up, it has a tendency to like spring the other way, and then when you catch it, it feels like it wants to kind of go the other way. It's hard to explain, but it's not a very natural feeling steering rack. Now these complaints, admittedly, I think are all pretty minor considering how much value you get out of this car, and there aren't a lot of cars that give you everything that this one does. The manual transmission, the naturally aspirated V8, the size, the comfort, and the fact that this is a 2016 model. It's only 5 or 6 years old. So you get a lot of the more modern technology features as opposed to something like the Lexus IS F, which is admittedly a much older and much older feeling car. So this is just a quick spin in the manual 2016 Chevrolet SS. The manual transmission drastically improves the appeal of this car for me personally, but when it comes down to it, as a pure driving experience, the Lexus IS F just feels that much sharper and more focused, albeit at the trade-off of, you know, a smaller body style and less comfort. I think the Lexus IS F still suits my taste a little better, but if you are more on the comfort-oriented side of that equation, the SS with a manual transmission is the one to get. It's too bad that they didn't make a whole lot of these, so good luck finding one.